Hello and welcome to another episode of Tell Your Story. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni, the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership for TEPSA. And each episode, I look to bring you a different guest who has encouraged, inspired, or challenged me in one way or another and bring them on to share some of their story in hopes that it inspires you to tell some of yours. I am thrilled today to have Jackson Wiese on with me. Jackson, tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
First, I'd just like to say thank you, Todd, for having me on the show today. It's really cool to be on here.
Of course.
Um, like Todd said, my name is Jackson Wiese. I'm a co-teacher, instructional aide. We call our instructional aides co-teachers at my school in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Awesome. Well, Jackson, when did you realize that education was something that you wanted to pursue as a career path?
I didn't know all my life. I actually figured it out the summer before my freshman year of high school.
Mhm.
I had always wanted to kind of get my own job and make my own money and stuff. My eighth grade year, I mowed lawns for my grandpa.
Mhm.
Um, and then I wanted to get a real job for a company. So our Parks and Rec district here in Mandan, they have a MAC program. So that is basically an after school and summer program
Mhm.
for elementary age kids. So my first summer, I was a sports coordinator. So we bus our kids to different sports like t-ball, tennis, stuff like that. So I made sure all the kids got where they needed to go. We have about 160, 170 kids in the
Wow.
program. So we split them up in the summer. We split them up each in a different classrooms. This summer we're gonna have 7 classrooms. So my first summer I was the sports coordinator, so I wasn't in a
Uh-huh.
classroom. Um, but then I knew I wanted to be in a classroom. I didn't really like the sports coordinator stuff, so I decided I wanted to be in the classroom. So I was an aide for I think 3 years,
Uh-huh.
and then I ended up being a teacher. This will be my third year as a teacher for the MAC program. So I guess that was really where I got the inspiration to not necessarily go into education, but that
Mhm.
I knew I wanted to work with kids. So,
Now, did you always know it was going to be the elementary age, or did you have any interest in trying secondary too?
no, I didn't. I knew I wanted to be elementary.
Yeah.
I like the age group. And lower elementary too is where I want to be. Second
Yeah.
grade would be my preference. I'm actually going to college right now.
Hmm.
While I have 2 more years left in my degree. So I will get my degree in 2 years and then hopefully start teaching right away.
So you are going to college while you are an instructional aide, right? What made you kind of make that decision of you wanted to keep a foot in the schools while you were going to college?
Yeah, so my junior and senior year of high school, I took a class called Early Childhood Care. So my junior year, basically that was 9 weeks of bookwork in the classroom at the high school, and then 9 weeks I got to go into an elementary school and actually teach. So that was my first experience with teaching in a classroom.
Yeah.
So then my senior year, I went to the counselor and I said, "Is there anything else I can do with kids? I know I want to go into teaching. Is there anything else I can do?" And they said, "Yeah, we'll make something work." So they ended up making, they called it a co-op. So I had a
Mhm.
full semester of 2 class periods a day where I went to an elementary school and taught lessons. So that was my first experience in the classroom. So then I graduated high school 1 semester early. Um, and then I knew I wanted to get right into the school system if possible. So I was 17 at the time, and
Wow.
I applied as an instructional aide to a couple different schools, and I ended up getting picked up by my school. And I just knew I wanted to get my foot in the door and get some experience, and that was really the best decision that I probably ever made. So,
Well, I love that that's kind of the path because, just hearing you talk, it sounds so similar to my story because, there we were part of a program called Ready, Set, Teach, which was my junior and senior year. And that was for people who thought they wanted to be a teacher but weren't really sure and wanted to know
mhm,
before they got into college and started paying money for this degree
right.
they didn't know if they'd want to do. And I got to work in the schools. And then right after, I went and applied at a school and was an instructional aide while I attended college full time, and it was the best experience for me just to
Yes.
constantly be connected with other educators and learning and watching and building relationships. I feel like it made my first year teaching so much smoother because of that. And so, what are you learning that was kind of unexpected in your own mind as you do this?
Honestly, so much. It's hard to put into words. Since I've been in elementary school, it's changed so much. Just the stuff that teachers do,
Yeah.
and I guess when I was in elementary school, I didn't realize how much teachers do, though
Yeah.
definitely did. Um, Specifically, I worked under a second grade teacher. Her name was Joni Love. Definitely a mentor-mentee relationship, and it was really cool. Um, so I'm a special ed aide, so I'm assigned to a student in the classroom, but depending on that student and their needs, I can help the other kids and stuff
Right.
too. Um, so we kind of had an agreement. I told her my situation and stuff, that I was going to be a teacher, and I pretty much told her, "Give me whatever you can to do. I'll do whatever." So
Mhm.
she really ran with that and gave me an awesome experience. I got to co-teach with her and basically run the classroom for some afternoons, do a bunch of lessons, run small groups, plan some stuff. It was just a really, really good experience. And then she'd give me tips on how to deal with different situations and stuff. So that was really cool, and I learned a lot from that. And from that, there are other teachers in the school too that have also given me that experience as
Mhm.
well. I tell them, we did this in Joni's room. Can we make it a possibility in here? And um, uh, the school family around me is really awesome at helping me grow as an educator. So really, every classroom that I've been in, I've learned so much of how
Yeah.
to just deal with different situations, how to de-escalate kids, how to teach
Mhm.
different things in different ways, and just I I'm so thankful for that experience.
Yeah, I love just getting to hear that part of your journey, to know that, those things are going to grow you into an even better educator. So, you're still a year or so away from having your own classroom. And so what are you most looking forward to for your first year teaching?
Honestly, just having the um, I guess control to
Yeah.
do what I feel is best and kind of just take over and have that responsibility. I guess a lot of times, um, working under teachers, I'm given things to do and I don't plan as much. So it'll be really cool to get to plan that stuff and just kind of do it by myself, kind of, I guess.
That's awesome. Well, Jackson, when we look back at our lives and we reflect on all the great things that have happened, all the trials and tribulations, we've got a nice mix of things. When you reflect back on your own life, what is an experience that you think really played a large part into the man you are today?
Um, Honestly, I grew up in a really supportive family, so that's been
Mhm.
really cool to have that support system basically all the time pushing me
Yeah.
where I think I should go and giving me that perseverance to get through it. We had a student, uh, my I think it was last year, and he was really cool to work with.
Mhm.
He came from a really tough background, a lot of trauma, and he came to school with a lot in his school backpack
Yeah.
and just had a lot of different pent up energy and just
Mhm.
didn't know how to express that. And oftentimes it came out as physical. So it was cool to see how we had such a great team around him, 4 or 5 different staff that really helped him grow. And what was really cool is we involved the students in his class in helping him grow and get comfortable. They really took over. He had a group of about 3 boys. When he was struggling, they would come over and they would come in and just really give him that upbeat,
Yeah.
um, and give him that power to get through the day, I guess. And um, so once they started getting involved, you could really see the shift in him
Mhm.
as a person and just see that we really were making a difference.
Yeah.
Um, but what really, for me into the person I am today about that is, so to tell you about a situation that happened, he actually ended up leaving the school one day, um, to go home.
Mhm.
And it was in the middle of the day. We didn't know where he went. So it was a really scary situation. And then eventually he came out of that mindset. And from that day on, he grew, and we could see that
Mhm.
as he went along. And then he actually ended up transferring out of our school. I mean, it was just one Friday afternoon, and we said goodbye. We went home for the weekend, and then on Monday he didn't come back.
Right.
So that is was a really really difficult situation for me to deal with. How much we had pumped into this kid and how much we've
Mhm.
seen him grow, just to have him kind of stripped away without any warning or anything like that. So I think that really helped me grow into the person I am
Yeah.
today, and that was a really cool experience to have as an educator.
And I think what you bring up there is such a true story that so many people can resonate with. Is so many years as an educator, you have kids that just are they break into you because you see the brokenness within them and
For
you
sure.
pour into them, you grow them. Sometimes you see tremendous growth, sometimes it's just a little bit, but you're proud of that little bit of growth. And then those unexpected moments when they withdraw or they leave, and even at times when you still get to say goodbye, it's like, no, I
No.
wasn't done. Like
I know.
I was making such good progress. And it's so hard, but it's even harder when you don't get the goodbyes. And it's not like they passed away. That's a whole nother kind of pain that an
Right.
educator deals with. But it's that whole, I at least want the closure where I can give them a hug and say, come back and
Exactly.
see
Yeah.
me or whatever. But, it's so interesting to me to hear you as a young future teacher have already get to experience some of that, because I think that really will play a part into the way you interact with others. Because the best thing that taught me was that to not let those moments go wasted. And anytime a
Hmm.
kid goes home, for whatever reason, it could be the last time I see them, and I want to make sure they always left me knowing that. So I think that's great that that's something that has really been pivotal for you. When you look back at your own life, who's somebody that's been really instrumental in your life?
Um, that's a tough one. There's so many people that have helped me grow into the person I am today. But I'd say definitely my parents. They were always there to support me and really just push me to do the right thing. They made me just get good grades and just built that character inside of me. So I think they were definitely a very influential pair of people in my life that helped me a lot.
So if you weren't going to be an educator, what other career path would you think you'd be pursuing?
Oh, I don't even know. Honestly, I can't see myself being anything but a teacher. Um, like I said, since my freshman year of high school, I guess I've never had different plans in that. So there's not really anything else that would call out to me at all.
What I'd love for you to talk about is, I have a lot of teachers who listen to this podcast and a lot of administrators. And, your perspective is such a unique one because you bring the role of an instructional support personnel on campus. And so, what is something that you would want teachers in particular to really understand about the role that instructional support paraprofessionals play?
I think the biggest thing is just the fact that we can do so much. We're capable of a lot. I think a lot of times there's been classrooms that I've been in where it's more of since I'm assigned to a student, they just kind of expect me to be with that student and then they'll take the rest of the class. When if you look at it in a co-teaching perspective, it's so much more powerful. We can move so many more kids up. We can just help so many different kids at the same time. And I think just having that co-teacher's perspective is super important. Um, I actually ended up, me and Joni and then the principal at my school, we took that co-teaching idea and we tried to pilot it for the
Right.
district. So I made up a PowerPoint and stuff. We went to the superintendent of Bismarck Public Schools and actually presented it to them. Although it didn't get accepted due to they had already a different kind of program with college level kids.
Hmm.
Um, just having that experience of presenting to the
Yeah.
superintendent was super cool. So I think that co-teaching aspect of just use us. We can definitely do so much if you just let us. And I think having the power to do that is really important, and we can do a lot with it.
I love that. Well, for somebody that's your age, you seem to have a really firm grasp on understanding and finding power in your own voice. Would you say that's true, that you really feel secure in who you are and what you bring to the table? And if so, where did that come from? How did that grow into you?
Honestly, throughout high school, I was pretty to myself, so I definitely didn't have that in high school.
Hmm.
Um, After getting this job, I really think I found myself, and I think that my voice came with that. Um, I just if I believe in something, I guess I think I'm gonna push it and really try to get it done. And I've done that with a few different things at Centennial. Right away when I started, we had to take a instructional aid, just a training, just a short training. They talked about history and different stuff with special education and just different things that would be going on in the schools. And through that, I got the idea for, because I had already worked at Centennial for a month or two.
Mhm.
Um, and through that, I came up with the idea of we needed more communication, because our schedules are constantly changing. We're being assigned to different classrooms all the time.
Yeah.
We needed a way to communicate that. So I went to our special ed coordinators and I said, what can we do to make this communication happen? And it actually ended up, we made a Google Doc, we had a communication board, we have computers upstairs. Everyone in the morning checks that communication board, and that's the way we communicate schedules. And it kind of just formed into that. Started out on the whiteboard, we'd just move our little chip from in to out so we know who was gone. And then it turned into the computer, I guess. And that was really cool to see my original idea of just, yeah, we need more communication, turn into something that is absolutely vital to our everyday schedules.
I love that. For whatever reason, when you were talking, I'm getting this picture of like that big whiteboard in Grey's Anatomy where they're like erasing and writing their names of what ER room they're going into and everything like that. But I know it's got to feel a little empowering for sure to know that, you know, you throw an idea out there and people actually run with it. Or even like the story you shared just a minute ago of, you know, having this co-teaching idea, and maybe the school district's not on board with it right now, but the experience you get of preparing that presentation, speaking before them, sharing that, I think that's huge. And so, you know, growing up for you, what was school like for you growing up? Were you the quiet, reserved student? Were you rambunctious and trouble all the time? Did you like school? Not?
um Elementary school I liked. I definitely liked elementary school. I don't remember a ton from it. Um, but I was quiet unless I was around the right people, I guess. Then I kind of sprouted and
Mhm.
was a little more loud. Um, but I like school. School was pretty easy for me all the way through. So I didn't struggle with it too much. So being more of an introvert,
Mhm.
I didn't love the social aspect of school. So that's
Right.
mostly, I think, why I didn't like middle and high school, because I think it revolves so much around the social
Mhm.
that if, as an introvert, I just didn't enjoy that as much. And since academics came easier to me, I don't think I was challenged as much as I maybe could have been. So maybe that's why I didn't love the high school experience, I guess. But I definitely did like elementary school.
I love that. Well, you know, Jackson, from your perspective, what do you wish more teachers knew or understood?
In relation to what?
Anything.
What do you?
The way you grew up, what you're seeing now with kids, like what are from your perspective of just this unique view that you have that I don't normally get to talk about on this show as somebody who's not having their own classroom yet, but is going to be a teacher and is the age you are, you know, what is something that really sticks out to you that you're like, this is what I want to make sure every teacher knows and understands?
I think the biggest thing is that I guess age really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And coming into an instructional aid position in a pretty big school, we have 460 kids, so it's a
Yeah.
big school, um, especially for North Dakota. But the biggest thing is that age really doesn't matter, because I came in and I was really scared because I was a 17-year-old. Everyone else is older. They really know what they're doing. I'm not going to know anything. What's going to happen?
Uh-huh.
Um, but I think the school family, like I said, they really took me in and they showed me that age doesn't matter. Going in, I thought age mattered, but having those people around me, they showed me, yeah, age doesn't matter. And I think that's the cool thing about teaching, because you can have a leadership role even if you aren't necessarily the principal of the school or even a teacher of a classroom. I can still lead different aspects of the school as an instructional aide. And I think it's really cool to be able to do that, even if my position doesn't necessarily reflect that leadership.
I think that's great. And it's so important what you just said is that, you know, everybody plays a leadership role at the school. They may not have the title of principal, but that doesn't mean they can't play a role. But I also love your point to the effect of age shouldn't matter, because no matter if you are looking at a 17-year-old instructional aide, an 80-year-old instructional aide, a 7-year-old kid, like given the right circumstances, situations, everybody can be successful and can lead. So I love that. Well, Jackson, I am so excited that you were able to be on Tell Your Story today. I thank you so much for sharing some of your journey with my viewers today. And I think you're doing fantastic work, and I can't wait to see where you end up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on the show today, Todd. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for listening or watching another episode of Tell Your Story. Remember, you can check out past episodes on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get it, it's there. I hope today's conversation with Jackson has encouraged you to get out there and tell your story, because every story matters.